How are you, Benjamin? Thank you so much for joining.
Hey, my pleasure, Mustafa. Looking forward to it. The topic is as relevant as always. So,
The topic which you have suggested is a great topic: data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. So I think
yes,
we can start on this one. I have a little bit different perspective on this one, but I would like to hear from you. Quickly introduce yourself for our audience as well, and then we jump into our topic.
sure. Thank you again, Mustafa, for your time and having me on your podcast. My name is Ben Szilagyi. Born and bred here in Switzerland, Basel. My parents both worked in a hospital, and so as a child, I grew up inside of the hospital in the daycare there.
Hmm.
And so has become very natural for me to then move into healthcare as a profession. I'm by training a system biologist, spent most of my professional career in the pharmaceutical industry, where I started with statistical analysis of clinical studies.
Hmm.
But then moving forward, I actually started to dive deeper and deeper into data structure, data architecture, system architecture, because that's where I saw the bottleneck is
Hmm.
for sustainable, scalable insights generation.
Hmm.
Great algorithms are fantastic. We have fantastic coders and programmers who can produce very smart algorithms. But if you don't feed these algorithms with good quality, large amounts of data, the insights will be limited.
Hmm.
And these days, you can't avoid, of course, the topic of AI. Now, your ambitions of AI will accelerate or emphasize your data problems even more.
Yep.
And that's my passion, right? That is my passion. I like to help organizations to get ready for advanced analytics, get ready for AI by sorting out the data. Well, let's put it honestly here, also a little bit sorting out your data mess that you
Yes.
have
Yes.
left, right?
So yeah, it is like that, right? And the other day I was just thinking that people are trying to go on Mars.
Yes.
People are building quantum computing.
Yes.
People are competing with ChatGPT. They are coming this deep seek, and we data folks are stuck whether to use dimensional modeling or data vault. We are stuck how to convert requirement gathering into our real stuff, right? We are stuck there, right? So we are so all right. I was really pissed off on my own data society, data folks, right? Why the hell we are stuck here, right? And it all starts with, as you correctly mentioned, our topic today, DIKW, data
Absolutely.
information
Yeah.
and knowledge and wisdom. So just to elaborate, right? I keep saying there's a guy in New Zealand, Shane Gibson. He has come up with this problem statement, a solution kind of stuff, information product canvas. Last time we had business product canvas. He has
Hmm.
come up with information product canvas, which is nothing more than he has around 12 areas where he take up the questions, answers, he convert into user stories, he create a vision, he came up with do's and don'ts, all those standard things,
Yeah.
but he has come up with a solution, right? So I break down into four pieces. I say the whole solution need to have questions, a product need to have questions, product
Yes.
need to have answers, product based on the answer you must have actions, and based on the action should be a value generation. So these are four basic things. If
Very
any of
nice.
this dimension missing, your whole product no need to create this product, right? Now when you start this journey, these things comes, you get a data is very raw data. So I leave the floor for you to start with the data, raw data, of course, information, knowledge, and wisdom. How do you see this thing? Then I will pitch in my idea, how I take it.
Excellent. And just to add on to what you said with the four factors,
Hmm.
the most important one that I see from my side is the question.
Yep.
It's the question. If you don't have a good question, a question that is really impactful, and it takes time to come up with a good question. It's very often not the immediate one that you have in mind. Dig a
Absolutely.
little bit deeper, come up with a good question, because that will focus your data collection.
Correct.
We have so much data. The new technologies of collecting data puts us at risk to get overwhelmed with
Yep.
data. Right?
Yep.
You can collect any data out there that you want. It's crazy. Yeah. So the good question will focus your mind, will focus your attention on the right side.
Mm.
And that's where you can focus on.
And I think that is where, if you have a question, that is what you ask from data. And based
Yes.
on the questions, the answers is for me is information. Knowledge is for me
Yes.
the separate thing. So what do you say that about?
So
Take us to this
let's
journey.
dive into this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's for me at my work. It was a very simple and useful. And I'm looking here. I'm just cheating because I have a little graphic that helps me
Hmm.
with describing this. Um, you basically start with the question, and with the question, you start to look at specific measurement points. What can you measure, right? What is relevant to be measured? I mean,
Hmm.
this in itself is already important to understand, to know. Any measurement you take will come with an implicit bias as well. There
Hmm.
are several sources of biases, and you have to be aware of them. You can't avoid them. It's unavoidable to be biased, but at least let's make them as transparent as possible. So you will collect the data requires certain management of the data acquisition stage.
Hmm.
Um, it requires a certain infrastructure. And then you want to enrich. You want to enrich your data with metadata, so
Hmm.
description of what the data is about. Yeah, it's data about data. You want to add taxonomy to the data.
Hmm.
Taxonomy is basically just a hierarchical categorization of your data points,
Yeah.
make it very simple. And last but not least, the dangerous word that is still out there, ontologies.
Ontologies. Yeah.
Ontologies. But at the end of the day, ontologies, we all intuitively have an understanding of ontologies. Ontologies basically puts data into a relationship with other data.
Yeah.
Like the word Paris, right? The word
Hmm.
Paris can mean something for you, Mustafa. It
Hmm.
might mean something different for me. It can be
Hmm.
a business location or a tourist location, or it can be, the daughter of a very rich hotel owner.
Hmm.
Yeah. So this 5 character string has a certain specific meaning in relation to other data elements.
Hmm.
And this can be displayed with knowledge graphs. There are different formats like RDF. That's your ontology. So this is your bottom layer. That's data in itself. Now, you use algorithms
Hmm.
to derive information out of your data. Now, starts to go into the direction of your question.
Hmm.
What do you want to see a trend of your blood pressure over the last 6 months, right?
Hmm.
So you will look at your data, and then you have algorithms that calculate a certain statistical trend of your blood pressure. That's the information that you take out of it, and that sits on top of the pyramid, on top of data. Now, information in itself is nice to have, but only through synthesis of information, so putting information together by recognizing patterns and by reflecting of what you just learned with the past and projection in the future, that's when you can start to derive some knowledge. That's when you find usefulness within information.
Hmm.
And hopefully, through deep understanding and reflection and decision making, you come to wisdom and insights. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's a pyramid, and this is key. This is key, Mustafa. And now we are coming a little bit to my mission. Why I'm so passionate about this is
Hmm.
that Around the world, you see pyramids, not just in Egypt, but around the world, you all see the same shape. And it's a very good shape because it's very stable.
Hmm.
And the bottom part is the biggest part, right?
Hmm.
That's where you invest your time, most of your time, most of your investment go into the bottom part to achieve that one insight, that point of wisdom on the top.
Hmm.
But when you look at the industry today, when you look at where does our attention go, where do people want to invest in? It's on the top of the pyramid.
Correct.
Everybody talks about the top of the pyramid. So basically, what you have in terms of investment and in terms of attention is an inverted pyramid. And that
Hmm.
creates you a problem. That's the bottleneck that we're looking at.
I absolutely agree with you. Right? Yeah, people have they do not know what they want, but they want to have something decision on top. Decision needs data. Data has to be quality and relevant data. Okay. Now let me put up my perspective and correct me if I'm
Please.
wrong because you are
Oh,
a
no, no.
yeah,
This is a
you're a
complex
seasonal guy.
view,
Yeah.
so I love to hear it.
Yeah. I gave it a thought. I gave it a thought. Data, which is the raw data, then information, knowledge, and wisdom. I'm still brushing up my thoughts, but this is where I've come in that information from raw information is something which you exactly need. What's your answers? Answers are information. From a system, you need an information. You can directly go, hey, what is the total sales of certain product from certain region or a medicines? You exactly get that information. That is the information. Now,
Yep.
knowledge. So I don't see raw information knowledge. I feel raw can produce information and also can produce knowledge. Now, how? For me is raw, you take, you have questions and you have answers for these ones, which are your information. Now, when you add metadata to it, now whatever you are having this data and you really understand what are the taxonomies, what are the ontologies, all kind of metadata, why, how, why this data has come out, why it is the sales, right? Because if you are an MD or you are a sales or a head of sales and you need to take a decision, you can depend on a dashboard which your team has created. That's the information for you. You do not need to know the lineage. You do not, sometimes you do not need to go into details. So that's the information for you.
Oh, and just to add, just very quickly, because this is a you just sparked, and you can of course add taxonomy and metadata to information as well.
Yeah, absolutely right. So when you have, see, information is something where you need to take a decision for an organization, right? CEO or head of sale does not care which kind of metadata underneath.
Hmm.
They just need, okay, this is a total number. Based on these scenarios, they take a decision. This is information. Now knowledge comes. Knowledge is a next level. Someone other day gave an example that knowledge is something you know that tomato is a fruit. And wisdom is when you don't mix tomato into a fruit chart. It's a very good example.
Yeah, that's a
Now the
nice one.
question
Yeah,
is a nice one,
yeah.
right? So that also gave me a more thinking on it. Can I find why it is a tomato? Is it a knowledge or is it information? Now, if there are a lot of fruits down there, you need something to eat, and you are finding tomato. To find a tomato from different fruits, that's information. But why it is tomato and why it should not be mixed into the fruit chart, that's knowledge, right?
That's yeah.
Right. So for me, it's maybe I'm correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe for me, it's not a pyramid like this. For me, is raw information and knowledge sits together because knowledge is just, and then comes wisdom. Wisdom comes from knowledge as well as information. That's what I still think. I'm still trying to map myself with the traditional pyramid, but I'm still unable to do it. Tell me
I'm
something
happy
wrong with
with
it.
both. I am happy with both because the important conclusion for me from both descriptions is that the biggest part is the foundation part.
Absolutely.
That is the biggest part. And I just recently had a conversation with a R&D head of a very famous software company.
Hmm.
And he asked me, Ben, how can we help your industry the best? And of course, the topic was AI, fancy AI algorithms and everything, and I said, if you really want to help us, can you help us come up with sophisticated, semi-automated, or even automated tools to address the bottom part?
Yeah.
That is the hard work. Our data managers, our data curators, right?
Hmm.
They still today do a lot of manual work to get that data cleaned up, to get that data in good shape. Now, I am very hopeful of the recent news with agentic AI,
Hmm.
where you basically can have agents watching you, what you do on a daily basis with your tools to clean the data. And then hopefully, eventually, they start to do that on their own.
But the
That would
thing
be
is,
fantastic.
agentic AIs, those AIs also need a proper data. So, and
It's a
then that,
catch 22.
yeah, and then, yeah, and then that question comes quality of data, right? So for me, quality, you cannot see, again, we data folks are stuck. That's another topic I was writing few days back about CDOs. Why CDOs are failing is
I like
because,
that post a lot. Yes.
right, because CDOs are very much focused. Let's do governance, let's do data quality, let's do lineage. Yes, all those things are super important. But the most important is question, answers, action, and value. And quality cannot be flat. Horizontal. If you start implementing data quality horizontally, it'll become very tedious and lengthy job. For me, quality has to be vertical. If there is a product, you
Oh,
need to
yeah,
know the
absolutely.
importance of
Of
the
course.
product, and based
No.
on the product, you implement quality. See, if a product is saving a life, yes, you really need a good quality. But if a product is just to sell and let's sell some mugs, right? You don't need high quality. You don't need to know the customer details. You just need to know customer one, customer two, customer three. That's it. Nothing more than that. So that is where I think people are stuck. That bottom line has to be very good, but very good from the product angle, from the output angle. What do you
Yes.
say?
In context. That's
In
where,
context.
again, your focus comes in. That's where your focus comes in. Yeah. And
Yeah.
just to your point about, I recently had that same thought process about the challenges of being a CD or CDIO, these days.
Yeah.
Um, you and I spent a lot of years now in the industry.
Yeah.
And if I compare now the job of a CDIO with a CFO,
Hmm.
um, I would argue, and CFOs out there, please correct me if I'm wrong, but a CFO, a finance department, is seen to help and enable the organization to do the job,
Yeah.
right? If you read the job descriptions of CDIOs these days, then it's very much on the CDIO to do the job. Yeah, AI in itself becomes the solution rather than an enabler of the business,
Yeah.
which is the wrong way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It always has to be
And
business first. Yeah.
of course, this is why provocatively, I very often say to executives, if you think you need an AI strategy, think again. I
Hmm.
don't think you need an AI strategy. You need a company strategy.
Yep.
You need a company strategy. You need your purpose. The why? Why does your company exist? What is your value proposition? Yeah.
Yeah.
What makes you unique in comparison to your customers? What capabilities do you need? And then comes the how. And AI is in the how.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's in the how, just like any other capable, just like supply chain, just like commercial, just like any other function that you have in your organization is a how to
Yeah.
enable the what and the why.
Yep, absolutely agree with you. And people are, I think, in this coming era, this how will become very important because what will be taken up by
Absolutely.
the AI agents. agents will come and start implementing things, right? That, as you mentioned, agentic AI, right? They will take over all those things. So how will become, so why is always there, and the one of the major reason why CDIOs are struggling, because IO is a different piece, right? Data is a different piece. People are also saying that, I think you posted the other day, what about chief digital officer, right? You mentioned, or someone else mentioned, right? So again, for me, digital analytics analytical officers are more toward business. They come up with the use cases. So traditional CDOs are also trying to play that role, because CDO has to be 70% business and 30% data, how data can be implemented, right? But Chief Digital and Chief Analytical Officer, they are more 70% on top, and they are unable to implement this. That's the more, I think that's what I feel is the reason there are a lot of turnover of CDOs. Yeah.
I think it's a big I mean, we both are in leadership roles now as well, and I must reflect and say that our jobs over the last 3 4 years has changed tremendously, tremendously.
Yeah.
And even now, I mean, it's hardly any morning that I can wake up and not get a little adrenaline shot, by opening the news and seeing, oh, okay,
So many things.
something new that I have to learn, right?
Yeah.
New regulations pop up, regulations get decommissioned as well again, and your playground is changing on a daily basis.
Yeah.
This has not been the case in the past. In the past, the FDA has come up in 1998. It has come up with CFR 21 Part 11. Okay, that was a big regulation. All right. But then we had 10 years time. We had time to implement it and to think about it and how to put it into processes and systems. These days now, it's
Last time we could get
machine
away.
gun speed.
Last time we could get away. Now you cannot get away.
No,
And now last time we were implementing one enterprise data warehousing in 2 years or 3 years. Now you have to implement in every 2 weeks to 4 weeks.
yes,
Last time you were implementing 10 products in a year. Now 10 products will come in a month, right?
absolutely.
So now this data
Absolutely.
governance and this new things coming in data practice management, right? That will become very core, that who will manage the whole blueprint and
Yeah,
who will manage the whole regulatory things imposed on your organization. So again, we have a time check. I think we have 3 4 minutes left. So I think it was a good conversation, Benjamin and
excellent,
Ben.
Mustafa. Yes,
And I think this short podcast will really work, because people keep telling me that you are going for 1 hour. It's very lengthy. I said, okay, let's make try to make it 30 minutes less. I think
very
we have
good.
justified this session, that data information. I think people have two perspectives now to see. One is, as you mentioned, uh, data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. And I've tried to put myself in. I don't know, people will scold me or what, but this is what I feel.
No,
That
it was a great conversation.
thank you so much, Ben. I hope we can have more sessions. Thank you. Have a nice day and
Thank
take
you.
care.
And stay in touch.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.